Alexander Thompson's fingers flew across the keyboard, racing against the deadline. The Boston skyline glittered through his office window, a world away from the quiet Maine town where he'd grown up. At 23, Alex had already made his mark at Horizon Creative, his designs earning him recognition that many twice his age still chased. His phone buzz, disrupting his concentration. Unknown number, Maine area code. He almost declined it. "Alex, it's Dr. Reeves from Portland General." The voice sounded grave, clinical. "Your father had a heart attack while fishing this morning. I'm so sorry, but he didn't make it." Time seemed to freeze. His father, Robert Thompson, former Marine, Little League coach, man of few words, gone while doing what he loved most. The fishing trips Alex had declined countless times, each refusal another brick in the wall between them. "Sir, are you there?" the doctor asked. Images flashed through Alex's mind, his father's face, flushed with anger when Alex came out at 18, the painful silence at holiday dinners, the birthday cards that arrived like clockwork, signed with just "Dad," no messages, no sentiments. Their relationship had been a minefield of unspoken words and missed opportunities. Alex's boss found him staring blankly at his presentation. "Take all the time you need," she said, squeezing his shoulder. That night, on the flight to Portland, Alex scrolled through old texts from his father's brief, functional messages about insurance papers and lawn care, nothing revealing the man behind them. The family home in Portland stood silent when Alex arrived. His three younger brothers waited inside Jackson, 16, stoic and red-eyed. Noah, 14, quietly observing from the stairs, and Caleb, 12, curled into himself on the couch, refusing to speak to anyone. Their neighbors had been watching them while Sarah, their mother, handled arrangements at the funeral home. "Mom's on her way," Jackson said, voice breaking slightly. But Sarah Thompson never made it home. The call came as Alex was ordering pizza for his brothers. Their mother, rushing home to her sons, had swerved to avoid the family's golden retriever that had escaped the yard. The car hit a tree when she died on impact. In 24 hours, Alex had become everything he wasn't prepared to be: an orphan, a guardian, a surrogate parent to three grieving boys. That night, after his brothers finally fell asleep, Alex wandered through his parents' bedroom, touching his mother's hairbrush. His father's watch artifacts of lives suddenly cut short. In his father's desk drawer, he found something unexpected: a half-finished charcoal drawing of their family, including Alex. In the corner, his father had penciled a date 3 weeks ago. All those years of silence, and somehow his father had still seen him as part of the family. Alex sank to the floor, the sketch trembling in his hands, tears finally breaking through. The boy who had fought so hard to escape this house was now its reluctant guardian, tethered to the very place he'd fled and to the brothers who looked at him like a stranger. This is where healing begins, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet courage to face what's broken and stay anyway. If you've ever lost someone before making things right, before saying what needed to be said, you know this pain. Follow Heart Stories for more journeys through grief, love, and finding family in unexpected ways. The funeral home smelled of lilies and synthetic pine, a poor imitation of the outdoors Robert Thompson had loved. Alex stood between his brothers, feeling the weight of Jackson's resentment and Caleb's silence. Noah, always the peacemaker, kept one hand on Caleb's shoulder. 2 caskets, 2 parents. An impossible reality. Sarah's sister approached after the service, her sympathy thinly veiling judgment. "I know you think you're doing the right thing, staying," Aunt Sarah Jenkins said, voice honeyed with concern. "But these boys need stability, a proper family structure. You have your life in Boston." Alex caught the meaning beneath her words. She didn't believe a gay man in his 20s could or should raise 3 boys. "They've lost enough," Alex replied firmly. "They're staying in their home. With me." The conversation ended there, but the battle had just begun. Back at the house, condolence casseroles filled the fridge, and neighbors spoke in hushed tones about those poor Thompson boys. Alex overheard Mrs. Peterson from next door, such a tragedy. And now with only their, to look after them. Days blurred together. Alex set up his laptop at the dining room table, trying to work remotely while learning the rhythms of his brothers' lives. Jackson needed a physical for soccer. Noah had guitar lessons on Thursdays. Caleb's therapist appointments were Tuesday afternoons. The school forms alone required a forest of signatures. Through it all, Jackson's hostility grew like a thorny wall. "You don't even know what cereal Noah likes," he snapped one morning as Alex poured the wrong brand. "You haven't been here. You don't know us." The truth in those words stung more than any insult could. A week after the funeral, the doorbell rang. Jason Rodriguez stood on the porch, travel bag in hand, his familiar smile like a lighthouse in the storm. Alex's creative partner and closest friend had taken leave from their agency to help. "You look like hell," Jason said, pulling Alex into a hug that lasted a beat too long. Something shifted between them in that moment, boundaries blurring, possibilities opening. That night, after the boys were asleep, Jason and Alex sat on the back porch with their laptops, working through Alex's backlog projects. Their shoulders touched occasionally, small connections that felt like lifelines. "I can't abandon my career," Alex whispered, more to himself than Jason. "But I can't leave them either." "Maybe you don't have to choose," Jason replied. The fragile peace shattered 3 days later when official-looking papers arrived. Sarah Jenkins was filing for guardianship of all 3 boys, claiming Alex's lifestyle and career commitments made him unsuitable. The petition included affidavits from church members attesting to Sarah's maternal qualities and stable home. Jackson found Alex holding the papers, hands shaking with rage and fear. "Did you know about this?" Alex demanded. "She asked if I wanted to live with her instead." Jackson admitted, defiant yet somehow uncertain. "She says you'll get tired of playing house and leave, just like you did before." That night, Alex discovered something in his father's home office, a folder labeled Alexander, filled with printouts of Alex's design work, articles mentioning his achievements, even the agency's website with Alex's bio highlighted. His father had silently followed his career, had been proud in the quiet darkness, surrounded by evidence of his father's complicated love. Alex made 2 vows: he would fight for his brothers, and he would become the kind of man who stays something his father had never believed he could be. Sometimes family isn't what we're born into, but what we choose to build from the fragments life leaves us. The courage lies not in avoiding the broken places, but in gathering the pieces and creating something new. The county courthouse stood imposing against the gray Portland sky, its stone facade a reminder of immovable institutions. Inside, Alex straightened his tie, a gesture his father would have approved of. Beside him, Jason squeezed his elbow briefly, support disguised as a casual touch. Across the aisle, Sarah Jenkins sat with her husband, her expression a blend of righteous concern and barely concealed triumph. The hearing began with clinical efficiency. Sarah's lawyer painted Alex as a well-intentioned but unsuitable guardian, unmarried, career-focused, inexperienced with children, and living an unconventional lifestyle that might confuse impressionable boys. "Mr. Thompson abandoned his family responsibilities once," the attorney concluded. "What's to prevent him from doing so again when things get difficult?" Alex's lawyer countered with testimonials from Alex's colleagues, his landlord who had willingly released him from his Boston lease, and most powerfully, Caleb's therapist. "Caleb Thompson hasn't spoken since his parents' deaths," Dr. Winters testified, "but he's begun drawing again pictures of his home, his brothers, and recently, his oldest brother. Removing him from this environment could severely impact his recovery." The judge, a silver-haired woman with penetrating eyes, reviewed the financial statements showing Alex's arrangements to work remotely. "And the children's education?" she inquired. "College funds established by their parents remain intact," Alex's lawyer assured her. "Mr. Thompson has added his own contributions and reduced his living expenses to ensure stability." The proceedings dragged through the afternoon. When court adjourned until the following day, Alex felt hollowed out, his family's intimacies dissected under fluorescent lights. At home, tension simmered through dinner until Jackson threw down his fork. "Aunt Sarah showed me the letter," he accused. "The one you're supposed to give to the judge." Alex froze. "What letter?" "The one where I say I want to live with her instead." Jackson's voice cracked. "She said you'll leave when it gets hard, just like you left after the fight with Dad." The argument escalated until Jackson stormed out, slamming the front door. An hour passed, then two. When midnight approached with no word, panic set in. "I'll stay with Noah and Caleb," Jason offered. "Go find him." Alex drove through neighborhoods, past the school, the mall, increasingly desperate. A memory surfaced, his father taking the boys fishing at the harbor during difficult times. "Water puts things in perspective," Robert used to say. The municipal piers stretched empty into the darkness, but a solitary figure huddled at the end. Jackson sat with his knees pulled to his chest, staring at the black water. "Everyone leaves," he said without turning as Alex approached. "Mom, Dad, you." "I'm right here, yes, guy," Alex countered, sitting beside him. "For how long?" Jackson's voice was small against the harbor sounds. "As long as you need me." Oh, Jackson finally looked at him, eyes red. "Dad talked about you, the night before it happened. Said he'd handled everything wrong with you. Said he was proud of how you stood your ground, lived your truth even when he made it hard." His voice cracked. "Said I should remember that about you, that you were brave when it counted." Something broke open inside Alex, grief and revelation colliding. Here, at the edge of the water, his father had finally spoken the words Alex had longed to hear, delivered through his brother's pain. "I'm scared all the time," Alex admitted. "I don't know how to be what you all need." "Neither do I," Jackson whispered. In that moment of shared vulnerability, Alex taught Jackson to skip stones across the harbor water, just as their father had once taught Alex. Simple motions, patient instructions, a language of care that transcended words. The next morning in court, Jackson asked to speak. With surprising poise, he described the peer conversation, his father's last words about Alex, and his own realization. "My dad wasn't perfect," Jackson concluded, voice steady despite his trembling hands. "And Alex won't be either. But he's our family. He came back when it mattered. That's what Dad would have wanted." The judge's decision came swiftly after that. Guardianship granted to Alexander Thompson. The journey ahead would be difficult, but they would walk it together, wounded, imperfect, but unquestionably family. True strength isn't about having all the answers. It's about showing up with your whole heart, even when you're terrified, even when the path ahead is unclear. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer each other is simply the courage to stay. Autumn painted Portland in amber and crimson as the Thompson household settled into fragile routines. Alex converted the sunroom into a home office, positioning his desk to keep an eye on the backyard where his brothers did homework or tossed a football. The wall behind him displayed his parents' wedding photo alongside new snapshots, Noah playing guitar, Jackson scoring a goal, Caleb hesitantly petting a therapy dog. Mornings became a choreographed chaos of breakfast cereals, permission slips, and rushed goodbyes. Evenings centered around the dining table, their mother's sacred space where conversation gradually replaced the heavy silences of early grief. "My English teacher says my essay about Dad made her cry," Noah mentioned one night, pushing peas around his plate. "Is that good or weird, or both?" Alex replied. "The best writing makes people feel something." Noah nodded, a small smile forming. "Like your designs." These moments of connection accumulated slowly, bridging the gaps between who they had been and who they were becoming. Financial pressures mounted despite Alex's careful budgeting. Insurance claims moved at glacial pace. The mortgage stretched his savings thin, and Jason had returned to Boston, though he drove up every weekend, his presence evolving into something neither man openly acknowledged. Late one night, Jason found Alex at the kitchen table surrounded by bills. "You need to sleep," he said, resting his hands on Alex's shoulders. Alex leaned back, momentarily allowing himself to be supported. "What are we doing?" "Jason." "Figuring it out," Jason answered simply. Day by day. The question hung between them: were they partners, friends, or something undefined? How would the boys feel? Was there room in this fragile family ecosystem for another change? Jackson, entering for water, caught the intimate moment. His expression remained neutral, but the next day he asked casually, "So you and Jason, is that a thing now?" Alex nearly choked on his coffee. "Would that bother you?" Jackson considered this while loading the dishwasher. "Dad might have freaked," he said finally. "But Dad's not here and Jason's cool. He helps Caleb with art stuff." That afternoon, Noah sought Alex out in the garage where he was sorting through fishing gear. "There's this girl in my biology class," he began awkwardly. "We study together sometimes." Alex set down a tangled reel. "Yeah. How do you know if someone likes you, like more than friends?" Noah's ears reddened. "I don't want to mess up and look stupid." The conversation that followed was halting, honest, and nothing Alex had ever expected to navigate. He found himself channeling advice his mother would have given, tempered with his own experiences of heartache and joy. "You just try to be yourself," Alex concluded. "The real connections happen when you're not pretending." Noah nodded thoughtfully. "Like you and Jason." The most significant breakthrough came through Caleb. For months, his silence had been total, except in therapy sessions. Then, during an art therapy assignment, he created a family portrait, Alex at the center, surrounded by his brothers and, surprisingly, Jason. When the therapist asked who everyone was, Caleb spoke his first words since the funeral. "That's my family now." The portrait found a place of honor on the refrigerator, marking a new chapter. On a rainy Saturday while cleaning the master bedroom, Alex discovered a sealed envelope in his mother's jewelry box. Inside, a letter addressed to him, written weeks before her death. "My darling Alex," it began. "If you're reading this, something has happened, and I need you to know what I couldn't say enough while living. I have always been fiercely proud of you. Your father struggled not because of who you are, but because of who he couldn't be, someone who easily expressed love. I see how you look at your brothers, with the same protective instinct that has always defined you. Trust that instinct. Love isn't always saying the right thing. Sometimes it's just showing up, again and again." That night, Alex instituted a new tradition: Sunday dinners using their mother's recipes, Saturday fishing trips honoring their father. Not perfect recreations, but new interpretations of old love. As December approached, Jason arrived with a Christmas tree and a question. "I've been offered a chance to open a branch office here in Portland. I'd be my own boss, set my hours." His eyes met Alex's. "I'd be here, if that's something you want." The Thompson house began to feel less like a memorial to what was lost and more like a sanctuary for what remained and what could still grow. Grief doesn't end, but it transforms. It makes space for joy to exist alongside sorrow, for new love to honor what came before. 1 year after the funeral, the Thompson house vibrated with life. Fresh paint brightened the walls. Alex's office showcased both his award-winning designs and his brother's artwork, and the kitchen hosted more laughter than tears. The transformation wasn't just physical. It lived in the family that now moved with comfortable familiarity through spaces once haunted by absence. Jackson, now 17 and soccer team captain, had started a peer support group at school for students who'd lost parents. "It's not therapy," he insisted, though Alex recognized the healing in his brother's leadership. "It's just talking to people who get it." Noah's music had evolved from hobby to passion, his sensitive compositions capturing their journey. His podcast about growing up in an LGBT+ family had found a small but devoted audience, and he spoke with surprising eloquence, about having a brother who became so much more. And Caleb, the silent bearer of their family's grief, now chatted enthusiastically about cooking techniques. Having appointed himself the family chef, his specialty was their mother's lasagna, which he'd perfected through methodical experimentation. Mom would have added more basil, he'd announced critically, tasting his creations. On a crisp autumn morning, Alex and Jason sat on the porch swing, coffee mugs steaming in the chilled air. Their hands entwined naturally now. Their relationship no longer a question, but a foundation. Jason had opened his Portland design office, and their collaboration extended beyond work into the delicate art of family building. The center called, Alex mentioned, they want to expand the support program for LGBT parents. What had begun as Alex volunteering his design skills for a local LGBT community center had evolved into founding a nonprofit supporting unconventional families. His experience navigating custody battles and grief while being gay had resonated with others facing similar challenges. "You should do it," Jason encouraged. "You've become the resource you needed a year ago." The mail arrived, bringing the letter they had been waiting for. Inside was a response from Margaret Collins, the recipient of Sarah Thompson's donated heart. Her words spilled onto multiple pages how she'd survived against all odds, how she now volunteered at the hospital where she'd received her transplant, how she'd wondered about the family who had given her this second chance. That weekend, the Thompson family drove to a small coffee shop halfway between Portland and Margaret's New Hampshire home. She recognized them immediately, her eyes filling with tears as they approached. "I've carried your mother with me every day," she said simply. One by one, she hugged the boys. When she embraced Alex, he couldn't help placing his hand gently against her sternum, feeling the steady rhythm that once kept his mother alive. The beat was different now, stronger. Margaret explained, but something of Sarah lived on in that persistent pulse. Their story caught the attention of a documentary series about non-traditional families. During the interview, the host surprised them with an announcement of a fully paid family vacation to Disney World, the trip Sarah and Robert had been saving for before the accident. That night, after his brothers had gone to bed, Alex sat alone on the porch, watching the stars emerge. He sensed his parents' presence not in grief but in legacy, in Jackson's protective instincts, Noah's artistic sensitivity, Caleb's nurturing spirit, and his own determined love. The family portrait was different now, with Jason's steady presence and the absence of two beloved faces. But it was no less real, no less valuable. Alex placed the new family photo beside his father's unfinished drawing, past and present existing together in love that transcended loss. What defines a family isn't always blood or tradition. Sometimes it's built in the aftermath of heartbreak, in the conscious choice to stay when leaving would be easier. Sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead to the most beautiful destinations. Have you ever found family in unexpected places after loss? Share your story in the comments below. Someone might find hope in your experience. Subscribe to Heart Stories for more powerful journeys of transformation, where broken paths lead to new beginnings.